Hey, there's no shame in trying things that people ain't never tried before.
Published by Square Enix, developed by United Front, and released in 2012, Sleeping Dogs did not break new ground, or rock the boat. Met with tepid reviews at the time, Sleeping Dogs was considered just another GTA clone, trying and failing to stand out from the crowd by setting itself in China. People mocked it for its cliché story, bad graphics, Arkham wannabe combat, and finicky, weak gunplay. It was considered a C-grade game by most, only climbing into the low 80s, the B- category, 5 years since its release. And although critics and the publisher considered the game a failure, it sold better than expected. And in the years since its release, it's garnered quite the cult following. Two similar but distinctly different questions help us find the answer. How and why? How was the game designed, and why do people like it? Well, let's start with the story and how it's told. The story's premise isn't very special. It's very cliché, even though I personally haven't watched a movie with its exact setup. Cop infiltrates gang, gets connected to gang, a whole bunch of antics. You can guess how it would end up. With Wei Shen's loyalties divided, his moral compass out of tune. It's pulpy, it's simple, it's predictable, and it is endearing. It is emotional and dramatic. It's a simple story told well, elevated by its unique foreign setting. It's a lot like Star Wars in that way. Good, relatable stories told in exotic places. Sleeping Dogs is set in China, and the characters use English mixed with casual Chinese supported by subtitles, and magnificent voice acting to truly realize this Chinese setting.
Hey! 你搞乜撚嘢啊 Boss, we were just leaving. 走啦吓
And it was just getting interesting, too. Winston, my old friend. So good to see you. How's your family, huh?
What do you want, dog eyes?
Oh, Winston, wait. Brother, I just came to talk to you, man. For old time's sake.
Now, I won't spoil the story, but the atmosphere is thick and the narrative is engrossing. And I gotta say it again, the story is a nice cake, it's nice and moist, but the setting is the icing on top that makes it all so tasty. There's nothing like wandering through the night market, meandering with crowds and dodging street vendors, buying appliances and fun little things for your shitty apartment, all with a grimy neon backdrop and the buzz of commerce. You're not in Kansas anymore, and you can tell. The way people speak, the way they act, the things they're selling, the way you interact with them, the way you fit into the world. It's very immersive and engrossing. And again, this grimy but foreign setting is the perfect setting for this familiar, grimy story. And then we come to the moment-to-moment gameplay. There is some shooting and driving and other good stuff, but the focus here is on melee combat. People accuse this game of being an Arkham ripoff, and the combat is certainly like Arkham's, but it's much beefier, heavier, weightier. You're not trying to knock these people out, you're trying to hurt them. It doesn't reinvent the wheel, but it's meaty, it's fast, and it's fun. And the developers had this really weird fetish for very specific environmental kills, and it's janky and it's weird and it feels out of place, but it is certainly unique. And when people think Sleeping Dogs, they think weird environmental kills. Again, weird but endearing. And you wanna know what else is weird and out of place but endearing? Listening to an uncomfortable voice actor awkwardly sing 80s mega hits in a karaoke bar. It's weird, but it's Sleeping Dogs. I mean, where else can you get this? God, this game is just the absolute best. And there's just so much weird, janky garbage in this game, and it's hard to hate. I mean, this stupid cockfighting minigame that doesn't even work properly, I think. You know, you're just playing the game, and the entire time you're asking, what is this? What is this? How is this a thing? Why is this here? All of this foreign, weird, janky, garbage minigame gameplay on top of a pretty strong foundation, on top of a strong story, on top of a good setting, on top of good atmosphere and decent melee combat. All of this extra stuff, why is it here? There isn't an answer. There doesn't need to be an answer. It's here because it can be. All this weird stuff adds to the appeal. It feels like you're on a vacation. You know, you go somewhere new, you see a whole bunch of stuff you don't really understand because it's not part of your culture. That's how Sleeping Dogs feels, and it all contributes to the atmosphere in a fun, confused way. And even more than that, it's here because it's fun. It is just so fun. Do you really need more of a reason? And again, janky and misplaced and weird, but endearing, and that's why we love it. And I haven't mentioned everything, but it does a lot. There's a lot here. And outside the base game are several expansions, each enhancing the game in unexpected but effective ways, my favorite of which being Nightmare in North Point. It feels like a shitty 80s kung fu movie got crossed with a shitty 80s horror movie, and it is so good. And it isn't just good because it's stupid and fun, it's also good because it gives you an excuse to explore Chinese culture. Obviously, it's used primarily for entertainment here, but after I finished it, I went and looked up Chinese vampires and peachwood swords. And it was fascinating reading about how different cultures perceive the afterlife and death. And unless I saw that stuff in my shitty Chinese kung fu video game, I wouldn't have even known to have looked it up. So not only is this expansion entertaining, it also serves as an impetus to explore another culture. And that is just super cool, my dude. And on the more just pure fun end, if you like Bruce Lee, you are going to love the Zodiac Tournament expansion. And thus, we finally come to the conclusion. The answers to the questions, how and why. How is the game designed? Well, it's designed with an engaging story set in a grimy, fun world, with unique, if weird and janky gameplay and minigames tying it all together. And it is all set in an authentic-ish but surprisingly true recreation of China. And why do we love it so much? Because it's unforgettable, plain and simple. It is so different, so weird, so off the wall, so surprising and subversive of expectations in the weirdest ways that you can't come away from it without it leaving its impression on you, its mark. It engraves itself into your memory. And you love it even though it's flawed because it has heart. You can tell the people who made it, you can tell United Front loved it. You can tell that they wanted you to have the most fun possible, while giving you a taste of the 80s, giving you a taste of China. And when you play it, you become one of the features, one of the misplaced systems and minigames and fun little things, and you all just fall into place and create a package so much more than the sum of its parts. And that is why Sleeping Dogs, this C- game, is so good. Why it's an A+. And if you haven't tried it, it goes on sale pretty regularly. You can pick up the definitive edition with better graphics and all the DLC, and I strongly recommend you do, because you'll be pleasantly surprised with it. Sleeping Dogs is a good memory and a proud pleasure. And hey, there's a movie even coming out about it at some point, so we have that to look forward to as well. And that about wraps it up, everybody. Thanks a ton for watching, and I hope you enjoyed watching, because I definitely enjoyed making it. Like if you enjoyed, because that helps me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't, because we do this shit more than weekly, even though we might have to go back to doing one video a week. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. It depends on how creative your boy can be. And comment your thoughts, because you're smart, you could blow my mind sometimes, and I love hearing from you. Do you have any weird games that you like playing, fond memories of? Not weird in an XD sense, but weird in a out-of-place, unique, sorta... I don't even have the words for it. Games like that, comment them down below. I'm very interested. I think the Lost Planet games sort of fit the bill, really. And don't forget to check out the second channel, where I do stupid Let's Plays, and I'm gonna start experimenting with weirder content occasionally. And yeah, thanks again for watching, everybody. I'm very glad you're here. We have so much fun on this channel, and I look forward to doing this with you guys again in the future.